A single word, truth, turned a normal family dinner into the night I realized my life might be built on lies, and now I can't escape the questions it left behind. My breath caught in my throat as I stood frozen in the dim hallway, the words slicing through the air like a blade. Leela deserves to know the truth. My father's voice, low and strained, carried a weight I'd never heard before, and my Aunt Clara's sharp reply. You can't keep this from her, a shiver down my spine. I wasn't supposed to hear this. The door to the study was barely ajar, a sliver of light spilling onto the hardwood floor, but it was enough to pull me into a secret that could unravel everything I thought I knew about my family. My hand hovered over the bathroom doorknob, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure they'd hear it. What truth? And why did it feel like my world was about to come apart? It was last weekend, during my mother's 55th birthday dinner, that everything changed. I'd arrived at my parents' house just as the sun dipped below the horizon, the red brick facade glowing under the soft evening light. The driveway was already lined with cars, and I parked mine at the end, steeling myself for another night of playing my part in the Bennett family's carefully curated performance. My mother, Ellen, had always insisted on perfection, every detail of our lives polished to a shine, every crack in our family hidden behind a smile. I adjusted my scarf, checked my reflection in the car window, and stepped out, the gravel crunching under my boots as I braced for the familiar weight of expectation. Inside, the house was a testament to my mother's meticulous control. A vase of fresh lilies on the entry table, their scent heavy and sweet, hardwood floors gleaming under the chandelier's glow, framed family photos lining the hallway, each one a snapshot of a happiness that felt more staged than real. There was one of me at 10, gap-toothed and grinning, clutching a soccer ball. Another of my parents on their wedding day, my mother's veil billowing in the wind, my father's eyes crinkled with a joy that seemed foreign now. I paused, my fingers brushing the edge of a frame, wondering when those moments had started to feel like a lie. The dining room was alive with the hum of conversation, the clink of wine glasses, the occasional burst of laughter from my cousins, who seemed blissfully unaware of the undercurrents that ran beneath our family's polished surface. My mother sat at the head of the table, her silver-streaked hair swept into an elegant chignon, her smile as pristine as the white tablecloth. My father, Richard, sat opposite her, his navy blazer crisp, his laughter a little too loud, a little too practiced. My Aunt Clara, my mother's younger sister, was there too, her sharp eyes darting around the room, catching every detail, every gesture. And then there was me, Leela, 27 years old, perched at the edge of my chair, smiling through the unease that had settled in my chest. I played my part well, nodding at my mother's stories about her latest charity gala, complimenting the roast lamb, dodging questions about my stalled career as a graphic designer, my lackluster dating prospects, my quiet apartment in the city that felt more like a refuge than a home. But as the night wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, like a note played slightly out of tune. It was during dessert, my mother's favorite lemon tart, served with a dollop of whipped cream, that I excused myself to use the bathroom. The hallway was dim, the sounds of the dining room fading into a muffled hum as I made my way past the family photos. That's when I heard the voices, low and urgent, coming from the study. My father's deep baritone and Clara's clipped, precise tone stopped me in my tracks. I don't know why I didn't keep walking. Maybe it was the edge in their voices, the kind of intensity that didn't belong at a birthday party. Maybe it was the way my name slipped into their conversation, sharp and unexpected like a pinprick. You can't keep this from her forever, Richard, Clara was saying, her voice fierce but controlled. Leela's not a child anymore. She deserves to know. My father's response was quieter, almost a growl. And what good would that do? You think she'd thank us for tearing her world apart? You think Ellen would? She's already tearing herself apart, pretending everything's fine, Clara shot back. You think she doesn't notice the cracks the way you and Ellen barely look at each other anymore? The way you— Enough, my father cut in, his voice sharp enough to make me flinch. This isn't your decision to make, it's mine. And Ellen's? There was a long pause, heavy with unspoken words. I pressed myself against the wall, my heart pounding, my mind racing. What were they talking about? What secret was so big, so dangerous that it could tear my world apart? I wanted to barge in, demand answers, but my feet felt rooted to the floor, my breath caught in my throat. Clara spoke again, softer now, almost pleading. She's your daughter, Richard, not just Ellen's. You owe her the truth. About everything. The truth. The word hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew it wasn't good. My mind conjured possibilities, each more unsettling than the last. Was my father having an affair? Was my mother sick? Was there something about me, something I'd never been told? The questions swirled, dizzying, and I realized I was trembling. I don't know how long I stood there, caught between the urge to listen and the fear of what I might hear. But then the study door creaked open, and I ducked into the bathroom just in time, my heart hammering as I leaned against the sink, staring at my reflection in the mirror. My face looked pale, my dark eyes wide with something that wasn't quite fear but wasn't far from it. I splashed cold water on my cheeks, trying to steady myself, but the voices echoed in my head, relentless. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. I returned to the dining room, forcing a smile as I slid back into my seat. My mother was laughing at something my cousin had said, her head thrown back, her eyes bright with that practiced joy. My father was pouring more wine, his movements deliberate, his face a mask of calm. Clara was quieter now, her lips pressed into a thin line, her gaze flickering toward me for just a moment before she looked away. I wanted to scream, to demand they tell me what was going on, but I didn't. I played my part just like always. That was a week ago, and I haven't stopped thinking about it since. The words I overheard have taken root in my mind, growing wild and tangled, keeping me up at night as I lie in my too-small apartment, staring at the ceiling. I've replayed that conversation 1,000 times, searching for clues, trying to piece together what they could have meant. The truth, about everything. What does that even mean? And why does it feel like the answer could unravel everything I thought I knew about my family? I've always known we weren't perfect, no matter how hard we pretended to be. My parents' marriage has always had its cracks, silences that lasted too long, glances that carried more weight than words. My mother's obsession with appearances, her need to control every detail of our lives, has always felt like a kind of armor, protecting us from something I could never quite name. My father's distance, his long hours at the law firm, his tendency to retreat into himself, it's been there for years, a quiet undercurrent I learned to ignore. But this feels different, bigger, like a storm waiting to break. I've thought about confronting them. I imagine walking into their pristine living room, sitting them down and demanding answers. "What were you talking about?" I'd say, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. "What's the truth you're keeping from me?" But every time I play out that scenario, it ends the same way. With their faces crumpling, with tears and anger and accusations, with the fragile illusion of our happy family shattering like glass. I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know if I'm strong enough to be the one who breaks it. But staying silent feels just as unbearable. The secret is a weight I carry everywhere now, a stone in my chest that grows heavier with each passing day. I feel it when I'm sketching at my desk, my pencil hovering over half-finished designs. I feel it when I'm scrolling through my phone, pretending to laugh at memes while my mind drifts back to that hallway, to those voices. I feel it when I look at old family photos, searching for signs of the truth I didn't know I was missing. If I don't say something, I'll be the one carrying this alone, and I don't know how long I can do that without breaking. There's another option, one I don't want to think about but can't quite ignore: walking away. I could pack a bag, leave the city, start over somewhere new. I could tell myself it's not my burden to carry, that their secrets aren't my responsibility. But even as I think it, I know it's not true. They're my family, for better or worse, and running away won't erase the questions burning in my mind. It won't undo the love I still feel for them, despite everything. I've tried to distract myself, to push the secret to the back of my mind. I've thrown myself into work, taking on freelance projects I don't have time for, sketching until my hands ache. I've gone out with friends, laughing too loudly at their jokes, sipping cocktails I don't taste. But it's always there, lurking, waiting for a quiet moment to creep back in. I've even thought about talking to my best friend, Mia, about it. But I don't know how to explain something I don't understand myself. I overheard something I wasn't supposed to, I'd say, and she'd press for details, and I'd have nothing concrete to offer, just a feeling. A fear. A sense that everything I thought I knew about my family is a lie. Yesterday I drove past my parents' house, slowing down as I passed the familiar red brick facade, the manicured lawn, the mailbox with Bennett stenciled in gold. I didn't stop. I didn't go in. But I sat there for a moment, staring at the windows, wondering what was happening inside. Were they fighting? Were they pretending, just like always? Did they know I'd heard something, or were they blissfully unaware, carrying on with their carefully constructed lives? I think about my mother, her need for control, her endless quest for perfection. I think about the way she's always held our family together, not with warmth but with sheer force of will. I think about my father, his quiet strength, his tendency to retreat when things get hard. I think about Clara, her sharp tongue and sharper eyes, always watching, always knowing more than she lets on. And I think about myself, caught in the middle, torn between loyalty and truth, between the family I love and the secret I can't unhear. What is the truth? That's the question that haunts me. Is it about my parents' marriage, about me, about something else entirely? I've tried to piece it together, to find clues in my memories, but nothing fits. There was the time my mother cried in the kitchen when she thought no one was home, her hands trembling as she clutched a glass of wine. There was the way my father's face changed when I asked about his childhood, his answers always vague, his eyes distant. There was the letter I found in the attic years ago, half-read before my mother snatched it away, her voice sharp as she told me it was nothing. Are these pieces of the same puzzle, or am I seeing patterns where there are none? I don't know what to do. If I confront them, I risk everything, the fragile peace we've built, the love that still binds us, the image of the family I've always known. But if I stay silent, I risk myself, my sanity, my ability to live with this weight. And if I walk away, I risk losing them forever, carrying the secret with me like a scar. Tonight, I'm sitting in my apartment, the city humming outside my window, the glow of my laptop casting shadows on the walls. I've typed out a text to my mother 3 times, each version more desperate than the last. We need to talk. I heard something at your party. What aren't you telling me? I haven't sent any of them. I don't know if I will. But I know I can't keep living like this, caught between knowing and not knowing, between truth and silence. The truth, it's such a simple word, but it feels like a blade, sharp and unforgiving. I don't know what it is, but I know it's out there, waiting for me to find it. And when I do, I don't know if I'll be strong enough to face it. But I have to try, don't I? So that is for today's story. If you like the story, share with others and hit that subscribe button for this type of more stories.